You were never taught to be kind. You were taught to be owed. There's a difference, and most people will never see it. Right now, somewhere, a man is holding a door open, smiling, waiting, not for a thank you, for a transaction. He doesn't know that's what he's doing. That's the thing about this pattern. It runs below awareness. It feels like virtue. It feels like being a good person. But watch what happens when it doesn't pay out. Suddenly the kindness curdles. Suddenly she's ungrateful. Suddenly the world is unfair. Suddenly you're the victim of your own generosity. You've seen this person. Maybe you've been this person. Here's what's actually happening. From a young age, certain people learn that direct desire is dangerous. Asking for what you want gets you rejected. Being yourself gets you punished, so the brain finds another route. Be agreeable. Be useful. Be so relentlessly good that people have no choice but to give you what you want. This is not kindness. This is a strategy, a hidden one, and the person running it has usually convinced themselves completely. There's a psychological term for this kind of pattern. It sits at the intersection of low self-worth and covert control. Psychologists call parts of it conditional positive regard, the belief that love must be earned through performance. But there's a darker layer underneath. When you believe love is a transaction, you become an accountant. Every act of kindness goes in the ledger. Every favor, every hour, every smile you gave while dying inside. And when the balance isn't paid, the rage that comes out is disproportionate. Because it's not anger about today. It's the accumulated bill of years. Watch the micro behaviors. He agrees with everything she says. Until she rejects him. He laughs too loudly at her jokes, but tracks whether she laughs at his. He says, "I don't mind," but minds everything. He disappears emotionally the moment she shows interest in something that isn't him. He tells everyone she only dates bad guys. These aren't isolated moments. They're a system, and that system runs across every area of life. At work, the colleague who does everything asked of him never says no, then grows visibly resentful when overlooked for promotion. In friendship, the person who is always available, always helpful, and always vaguely disappointed. In family, the child who was perfectly behaved and still felt invisible, who never learned that love doesn't need to be earned. The pattern is consistent. The context changes. The mechanism doesn't. Here's what makes this so hard to see from the inside. This person genuinely believes they're a good person, and in isolated moments, they are. The kindness is real, the care is real, but it's built on a foundation that will crack the moment it stops being rewarded. Because real kindness doesn't keep score. Real kindness doesn't curdle. Real kindness doesn't need a witness. If yours does, that's not kindness. That's a wound with manners. Now here's where it gets precise. There are exactly 2 behaviors that begin to break this pattern. Not 3, not a system. 2. The first is learning to state a desire directly, not as a question, not wrapped in self-deprecation, not preceded by 12 acts of service. Just, "I want this." For someone running this pattern, that sentence is terrifying, because direct desire can be directly rejected. And that's the fear the whole system was built to avoid. The second is learning to act without expectation of response, to give without the ledger open, to be kind when no one is watching, to help when there is no audience. If the behavior changes when the audience disappears, it was never about them. It was always about what you needed from them. Those 2 shifts are simple to describe. They are not simple to do, because underneath them is the original wound, the belief, usually installed in childhood, that who you actually are is not enough, and that belief doesn't dissolve with information. It dissolves with something most people in this pattern have never consistently received. I'm not going to tell you what that is, because the moment I name it, you'll file it, you'll think you understand it, you'll add it to the ledger of things you now know, and knowing is not the same as having. There's a reason people who understand this pattern completely who can describe every mechanism in clinical detail, still run it. The map is not the territory. Somewhere in the machinery of this pattern is something that explanation cannot reach. And most people who are reading this right now already know they do this. They recognize themselves in the first 30 seconds.